Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast, and by God, do we have some madness in Midtown this week. Before we get going, though, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, also that bell icon, and definitely comment down below anything you have to talk about in the world of Billiken athletics, whether you agree with what we're talking about or you don't agree. Let us know. By the way, shout out Big Willie, I think was all up in our comments section. God bless him. Thank you. Love that you listen. Love that you get involved with us in the YouTube comments. It's season 5. And once again, the Midtown Madness Podcast is brought to you by Two Men and a Garden. Two Men and a Garden salsa is the best, in my opinion, local salsa you can get in stores that isn't it, your restaurants, your authentic Mexican joints here in St. Louis. The best part about Two Men in a Garden, whether you are celebrating a 31-point Billiken win against Loyola or you're drowning your sorrows by a 1-point Billiken women's basketball loss at Loyola, Two Men in a Garden tastes amazing and will either cure what ails you or pair nicely with that celebration. Whether you like it mild, medium, or hot, Two Men in a Garden has you covered. It is sure to elevate your post-game snacking. Simple ingredients made fresh with a ton of flavor. Visit them online, twomeninagarden.com, to shop your favorite local flavors and learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Pete, I am getting the vibe that Shirt's true value as a head coach and game prepper really shines once he has gotten a look at an opponent for the first time. It feels like he just is able to dissect that team that if once he has played them.
He has, Zach. And you see it in the VCU game, that those two games could not have been Loyola. The first Loyola game was close. It came down to really the end. But in this one, it was not close. It was not close at all. Completely blew them out. I guess if we wanted to counter our own argument, you have the St. Joe's game that we won pretty handily the first time around and then went up there and they did the same to us. So I guess that would be the counter. But otherwise, Zach, yeah, I feel a lot better going into Dayton this week than I have in years past. That's for sure.
This game could not have started any better, Pete. It was a drubbing from Jump Street. 29-10 lead at the 9:25 mark. I cannot remember a bigger start to a better start to the game in the last decade. I mean, I could be wrong, and this could be recency bias, but this was unbelievable.
I certainly can't remember a conference game that had this tenor. We've probably had bye games here and there that kind of went like this. But yeah, you're right. In terms of conference games, this really stands out as being a unique one. Like you said, 29-10 at 9:25. They respond with a 7-0 run. SLU answers with 5 to kind of keep them at arm's distance, and then managed to go into halftime up 53-33. That 20-point lead being their biggest lead of the game to that point. They had led by 19 a couple times earlier. So you really got the feeling at halftime like there was no way Loyola was going to turn this thing around.
No. Jimerson was en fuego in that first half. 5 of 10 from 3, 19 points overall. And this wasn't the quote-unquote Jimerson game where he goes out and either puts up a ridiculous first half, doesn't do anything in the second half, or he doesn't show up in the first half, comes around in the second half. This was the entire game, which we are going to get into, but what a performance from Jim.
5 of 10 from 3 in the first half, 19 points overall. He was not a one-half wonder in this one. But the other guy, Robbie Avila, they kept putting him on the line in the first half, and he went 10 of 12. from the free throw line. SLU overall puts up a slash line of 625, 529, 875, and turned it over a very respectable 5 times. I mean, they did everything you needed them to do to really run away with the first half.
You know, it was interesting because we watched that game, and as you know, we as Billiken fans are watching it, Robbie keeps getting to the line, and of course we're Billiken fans. We certainly think it's justified. When we win and win in convincing fashion, nothing's better than heading over to another team's message board to watch them melt down, like going back through it. So I went and like, it didn't see, like, Loyola fans didn't even like think that they were bad calls. They were just like, we couldn't not foul.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I thought they called fine. I missed the very beginning of it, you know, because the Richmond game went late, and you know, I was trying to figure out how to. It gets to be one of those things. Like, I didn't have the app because, you know. Anyway, it was a whole thing. That one went into double overtime. We'll get to that one later. But so yeah, I missed some of the early stuff, like some of that perspective. But they kept putting Robbie on the line, and I don't know. I mean, we complain about how we never get home cooking.
Yeah.
Loyola played a very physical game, and it seemed like they were called accordingly for it. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, again, I certainly agree with the calls. I just thought it was funny with the disparity in calls in that first half that Loyola fans didn't really seem to have any problem with it. But, you know, so they go into halftime, and all you have to do in that second half is not let Loyola back in it. And at the beginning, the Ramblers start on an 8-3 run, which is good. Right. But I started the second half kind of not expecting the Billikens to give up the lead, right? But I was cautiously optimistic. We know the Ramblers are a good team. We knew that they have that spurt ability to their game. You know, Jaden Dawson, Des Watson, Sheldon Edwards are all threats to have halves, just like Jimerson did. And we know that Ruben's patrolling the paint. He and Deloach were able to, you know, get quite a bit on Avila. And Anya, when they backed them down, I don't know why they didn't do that, but it felt mathematical. The second half, you know, 20-point lead, 20 minutes to go, just 5-minute segments, just don't go -5 in each segment.
Yeah. Now, how much of this feeling, Zach, is just a change in style from, you know, the previous administration? Would you say?
I mean, look, I think that attitude absolutely has something to do with Travis Ford and his style of taking the air out of the ball when his Billiken teams would get a lead. And, you know, right. I really thought we had it in the bag, but again, you are preparing for the worst.
Right. Yeah, I think when they go on that 8-3 run is, you know, I start to get a little nervous because I'm like, okay, a 20-point lead, you can't ask for more at halftime, but like, this isn't exactly the start I wanted to the half. You know, we missed some shots. There was a turnover or two. You just kind of go, okay, guys, come on, settle down now. Like, don't you dare let this team back into it, because we know that team.
Do it or I'll fucking spank you.
I mean, we know that they've got multiple guys who can shoot from 3. It just you just kind of felt like, ooh, if they get to closer to like 10, we could be in real trouble here, because there's a lot of game left. And once again, to SLU's credit, they did not melt down. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. While they did allow that 8-3 run to start the half, that culminated in 2 made Miles Rubin free throws, and that happened at 15:43 in the second half. The Ramblers had cut the lead to 13. Both teams had struggled a little bit to score, and it really felt that you were at a crux in the game where someone was going to have to grab the game by the balls, and that was Robbie Avila putting a stiff arm on Loyola. It's like, sit down, Carlton.
Mm-hmm. He was great in this game. His play really sent a message, and Jimerson's 3-point shooting was absolutely backbreaking. That slash line, I think I tweeted out, it's impossible to maintain that in the second half. It was actually pretty close. 583, 539, 857 for the game, just barely off of what it was in the first half. And most of that was just a little, the free throw percentage went down just a shred, and then they missed some twos. I think they had a stretch in the second half where they missed 7 straight field goals. But aside from that stretch, and even if you hit 1 or 2 in that stretch, you pretty much maintain what they did in the first half. And that I thought was really impressive. The other thing they did, Zach, was they protected the ball. 9 turnovers for the game, and a game played at a pretty good pace. I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we've asked them to do, right? We've mitigating risk, protect the ball, and you will absolutely run away with games. We're going to get deeper into it. But again, this was a huge deal, and I think is a huge deal for this team going forward. I don't remember a single offensive rebound in this game. I'm not going to lie, but the stats say the Billikens out-rebounded Loyola by 7. I don't remember any rebounds. Like, I don't. I rebound, like, other than the Anya tip out to Johnson, I don't remember any rebounds. Every ball went in the freaking hoop.
Yeah. So we had 5 offensive rebounds. Again, we did not have as many to get. Loyola had 7. If you look at second chance points, we had 8, they had 8. So really not a big determining factor in the game. I was a little frustrated on a couple of theirs, but like you said, there was that 3-pointer that Johnson hit off of a tip out from Kobe in the first half, which was great. I thought that was a huge one.
Yeah.
That really came at a time where it felt like here's a big wave of momentum into the end of the half. It was part of that run that really put this thing away in the first half. So
you know how like I hate the tip out rebound.
Yes.
Rewatching the highlights, like that wasn't one of those egregious, just like reaching over a guy. That was just like he went straight up for that ball. And it was like almost like a jump ball.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It was so many of those. I'm like, just bring your other hand up and grab the ball.
Yeah.
You're just trying not to foul the guy, I guess.
Or that's over the back. Why? Right. Why are you allowing that to happen?
Right. But that genuinely was one where he took a ball that he otherwise would not have gotten and kept it alive and kept the possession. I really hate those on the defensive end. On the offensive end, I'm kind of like, okay, if you can give yourself a 50-50 ball, then you take that.
Loyola's big 3, Sheldon Edwards, Des Watson, Jaden Dawson. I mean, the Billikens were on these guys for the most part. We'll get into it a little bit deeper, but yeah, they were great.
They were. The defense was really, really clutch here. I mean, these are 3 guys. They all score just over 13 points a game. And one of the things that I said coming into this is how consistent they've been, right? Like, and lately, sometimes one of them will score 10 or sometimes one of them will score 20, but really they are consistently producing at or above, just dragging their average up slightly over the course of the season. You really get good production out of the 3 of them, and it's rare that one of them truly has an off game. So I was really impressed by collectively holding a 40-point threesome there to just 28. I thought that was a really, really big factor in this game. Not only holding them under their averages, but keeping any one of them from going off, which we've had problems with lately.
I think you might have forgotten Dawson in this one, Pete, was actually really good and contributed to one of the weirdest sequences I've ever seen in a Billiken game.
All right. So Dawson had 14. So he was over his average by a point. And you're right. Okay, fine. 4 of 4 from 3. I'll grant you that.
But I really just wanted to parlay this into the conversation about the sequence with Jimerson.
Okay. Yeah. Go over that then.
Yeah. No, I missed so Jimerson, I don't remember the sequence of it. I guess it was Jimerson made a 3. Then Dawson made a 3. Jimerson made a 3. Then Dawson made a 3 again. It was the most it was just bang, bang, bang. I missed both of Dawson's 3s because I was turned around high-fiving for about the 3 that Jimerson had just hit. It was bonkers.
This in the second half? Yeah, okay, here it was in the second half, right?
Yeah.
So it was actually, the reason the sequence was so funny is because Jimerson had 3 in that stretch.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Okay. So Jimerson hits the first one at 10:29. 12 seconds later, Dawson hits one, right?
Right.
Next possession.
Literally didn't see either of these 3-pointers that he hit. Neither of them. I don't know what they look like. I don't know how he hit them.
So there was a 13-second break on that one. So pretty aggressive high-fiving by you for 13 seconds.
I was on one all game. I was up in the clouds, man.
So Jimerson hits another one and at 9:48, right? So that's almost 30 seconds later. That's a full possession. Robbie Avila gets the assist on that one. Swope had it on the first one. Dawson comes down 8 seconds later to hit this one. So they've now gone back and forth twice. And then Jimerson comes down 16 seconds later, this one on a Kobe Johnson assist. So that's what made this sequence so fun, is because his first 3-pointer put us up 24. And even though Dawson answered again, he still puts us up 24 again when all is said and done. And then it was, another minute before SLU scored again. Then we hit a couple free throws. So yeah, it was, that was a funny sequence. And I guess I should have given him credit for going 4 of 4, but they had a guy go 6 of 9 against us in the previous game. So this was progress.
At which 3-pointer was it where Jimerson turned to talk shit?
He hit 9, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know which one.
Come on, man.
When you hit 9 3-pointers, I can't memorize what you did after all of them.
Again, I don't think we can start summing up Billikens' stats in this one without talking about Gibson Jimerson's career high and record-setting afternoon. I am begging Mark Titus, my dude, my guy, crown his ass a cold-ass white boy. The guy just gets buckets. Is Robbie Avila a cold-ass white boy?
I don't know if I don't know if Avila's quite the right vibe for that, right? Like it seems like something that's more likely to go to a guard, at least when he does this. It seems like a sharpshooting guard.
Yes.
Who hits a 3 and then
like that guy that's kind of doing okay out west, about an hour west of here.
The right, yes.
Yeah. All the exciting whites out there in Columbia.
I think he actually absolutely lives up to that that title. But yeah, you're right. New individual single game record for 3-pointers, going 9 of 17. I think I saw that's also an A10 record, which kind of surprised me. I thought at some point someone somewhere.
Well, Steph Curry played in the CAA.
Yes, that's a really good point. By the way, Jimerson's only a few 3s away from beating his career mark. It takes twice as many years.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the meltdown in North Carolina? Yes. Oh, the meltdown.
No, Curry doesn't have the all-time mark or anything like that. He's just about to hit him in the career standing. Somebody there's going to be a meltdown. Yeah, no, I know it's
good. I'm ready to see Jay Catsby go. What are the kids call? What are the kids calling it now when somebody loses their mind? Oh,
I don't know. Unless 8-year-olds say it.
Not falling out, but it's like crashing out.
Crashing out?
Yeah, that's crashing out. Yeah, I know. It's semi-new to me, but I can't wait to see the Belk report crash out over over Gibson Jimerson passing Curry.
I like the Belk report.
But I also like seeing 2 Ramblers pod, our guy Dauber, crash out. So mean, it is what it is. It's all business, baby.
They took this game in stride. Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah.
He hit his career high in scoring. He tied it with 33. And then SLU tied their career mark, 18 of 34 in this game, beating the 17 they hit against Tulane. 4 or 5 seasons ago. I think it was.
Wasn't Jimerson involved in that one?
Jimerson was on that.
Wasn't that the 7 threes?
Well, the guy who went off in that game was Jacobs.
That's right.
Yeah, I think Jacobs was the one who hit. He hit like 5 or 6 in that game. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Let's talk about Robbie Avila here. He was as advertised and more.
Fantastic. Yeah, we already talked about his good first half, which mostly came at the free throw line. But when SLU came out a little slow in the second, I think Jimerson hit the first 3 of the half for us. Like after Loyola had scored once, and then Loyola rattled off 6 more points after that. But Avila scored the next 11 points. So 11 of the first 14 of the half for SLU. He finished with 28, which tied a season high for him. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, went 6 of 9 for the field. Crucially, 3 of 3 from 3 and 13 of 15 from the stripe. The 3-point line, the 3 of 3 there, I liked the most because these were 3 very good shots. One of them
important shots
was the most wide open 3 I think I've ever seen. But these were shots that he was mostly missing, in the previous game? No, 2 games ago.
Yes.
Right? Two games ago where he ended up going 3 of 12 for 3 and was like 1 of 9. He missed a bunch of wide open ones. And in this one, he just nailed all of them. He had every facet of his game clicking here.
Yeah. We've talked about this team, and this is a final note on Avila. And this one is, we've talked about this team needing a killer. And as much as Jimerson, we talked about it, was in fuego, Robbie stepping on Loyola's throat when they cut the lead to 13 and the Billikens were struggling to score by burying a deep 3-pointer is about as cold-blooded killer as it gets on a basketball court.
Yeah. He really was.
It's like Robbie was I like the 3-pointers in the second half, the 3 attempts in the second half, because it's like he lulled Loyola to sleep. They just they thought, maybe Robbie's just not confident in his 3-point shot and he's going to back off of it. Cause I hope that's not like a whole big thing, because it doesn't matter. Never mind. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but
I think what's important here is maybe he did do that, but him backing them down. I think Schertz said it in the post game, right? Him just backing them down and either getting layups or drawing fouls all first half. That's extremely valuable. Even if he's not playing that inside out game for the half, it was just if you're going to keep fouling him and putting him on the line, what is he supposed to do? So I think you're right. When he does all of a sudden come down the court and stop out there, get a wide open 3.
People aren't ready for it.
It's absolutely demoralizing to them, right? Because they're thinking, okay, how do we not foul the next time he backs us down?
It's like setting up the passing game with the run.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it was, Zach.
But that 3, that first one was awesome, just because it was it was almost like Robbie and Swope had discussed it, and we're like, okay, you just take the ball. We're sucking right now. Go. I'm going to just kind of toss it back to you, and you're just going to fire one up, and it's going to go down.
Yep.
It was beautiful.
That's right. And it was really just him who was hitting in the early part of that second half. He's really single-handedly the reason Loyola didn't get back into this game.
You mentioned that 3-pointer that was one of the most wide open 3s I've ever seen. Who got caught in that for Loyola? Who lost Robbie? Because I think it was a guard. I thought it was Watson. It was he had dreads. I can't think of his name. But yeah, it was bizarre because it was almost like Swope is driving to the lane with the ball. I don't think Swope has ever tried to go to the basket one-on-one. He has gone and laid it up when it's wide open, but I can't remember him being strictly guarded by a guy closely and trying to score. Like it does. If it happens, it's maybe once every few games at best. Like, why would you try to help on, why is the help defense going to Swope? Like, how are you not staying with Avila, the guy who's known for pick and pop?
The one thing I'll say is we have seen Swope get a number of layups blocked this season. So you wind up with maybe there's a center still kind of lingering there. But a lot of times Avila hasn't gone out to the perimeter at that point. You know, he's not that far away. So I definitely have seen Swope get it blocked by a secondary defender a good amount. This was also a game where he's had matchups where he looks more confident one-on-one, like he can kind of beat his first man and get into the lane. And I think that sometimes the help defense, that's where it gets him. But in this one, he had a defender who was mostly staying in front of him, did a good job with that. But yeah, you're right. They just, you can't leave Robbie alone. But I guess when you're down that much, they were a little more desperate.
Speaking of Isaiah Swope, quieter than those two, but when those two are going nuclear, you don't really need to expect much out of him or require much. Sneaky good game though.
Yeah, it really was. I thought his decision-making was a lot better in this game. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He did go 2 of 8 from 3 and turned it over 3 times. But I really like how he played at both ends overall. If he hits one more 3, turns it over one less time, then those are stats that I really like out of him. But it didn't matter. I think he valued the ball a lot more.
Yes.
Played in control, let the game come to him. Zach, I think you said he missed a few early open threes that could have put the result away much sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's fine. Again, he didn't, fall into early season Swope, keep shooting, and maybe not look to get everybody involved. And I thought in this one, he was, like you said, under control.
He was
so good.
I think he just had to sense what Jimerson was doing in this game, right? If Jimerson's like 2 of 7 from 3 at halftime, that's a different thing. But you're looking over at a guy who's basically hitting a 3-pointer every 3 or 4 minutes. So like you just have to kind of keep feeding him.
Speaking of what Jimerson is doing, by the way, his line drive 3 is his most accurate, right?
The one that he catches high.
Yeah. I need that. That is just the prettiest shot I've ever seen.
I just love that his threes come out of his hands a few different ways. He's got a few different styles of 3. It's traditionally
he's like a disc golfer.
It's so funny because traditionally you're used to seeing a 3-point shooter who is effective because he can get the ball and release the ball the same way every time.
Yep.
And that's not what Jimerson does. So extremely valuable. And I gotta think, pro teams in some way, shape, or form are going to kind of at least take note of that ability.
Yeah. Jason Capono.
There's a good comp.
I have no idea. All I know is he could shoot threes. That's all. I don't remember much other than he played for the Raptors. Shout out Carter Chapley. Kobe Johnson, quieter game, second in a row, 5 points, but he gave you what you needed in this one.
I think if you've got Robbie and Gibson playing the way they are, Swope just kind of did what he needed to do. And I think Anya and Johnson just realized at that point, you just got to play your role. Right. And in Johnson's case, that's playing great defense, which he did. It's not hurting you offensively. He didn't turn the ball over. And when Anya tipped that ball out to him, he buried his 3-point attempt. Yep. So it's one of those games where can't really look at anybody and say, hey, you sucked in this game that we scored 98 points. And it's these are the 5 guys who carried the lion's share of the minutes, and there's a reason none of them got benched.
Yeah. Speaking of none of them getting benched, let's talk Amari McCottry. He was once again a spark off the bench, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10 points in 17 minutes, 3 of 3 from the field, 2 of 3 from the line. Really like that the free throw shooting is improving over the course of the year. It's a small thing, but I think a really important thing. He did have a tough turnover going into a media timeout that would have absolutely blown the roof off if he got the pass to Jimerson and Jimerson hit another one. But McCottry, to his credit, we have the media timeout, and then he comes out and on our next possession scores a super difficult and one layup.
Yeah.
And
in transition.
That's right. This was
same exact play.
Missed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just an acrobatic finish, got fouled hard, still scored the ball. I thought that was big. It was big of Shirts to stick with him.
Yeah,
coming out of that media timeout, because when that's the play that sends you to the timeout, that sends you to the whistle, now you got to sit there for 90 seconds and think, what a dumb pass. It's interesting. McCottry's biggest mistakes often come in transition when he's got the ball in his hands. He doesn't make the best passes. Even if he's making the right read, he just doesn't put the ball where it needs to be, or sometimes he's making too difficult a read. That's interesting to me, and that's definitely something they need to work on in the offseason with him.
Yeah.
But I really was impressed with Shirts sticking with him and the way he responded.
Yeah. 100%, and I want to even talk about it more. But that turnover is, again, you talk about having to go into 90 seconds to think about it, but that's a turnover you'll take. Okay, the media timeout's a double-edged sword, right? You have to think about it, you have to sit down, but also you didn't get a live ball turnover. They're getting the ball in a random spot. They don't get any momentum out of it.
That's
for the most part. But all the credit in the world to Amari for responding the way he did. But we absolutely need to point out Josh Shirts in the moment after he turned the ball over. Shirts walks out to McCottry and teaches in that moment. He's not irate. He goes over, puts one hand on his back, one hand on his chest, and explains what McCottry did. And then I assume, given what we saw next, I assume he said, next time, just take it. And I mean, what a change from having a head coach who would have popped a blood vessel and sent McCottry to the end of the bench.
Yep. Yeah, that's all really well said, Zach. He was the hero in that UMass game when he, came up with the win for us. Got 18 minutes in that game. The next 3 games, he played a total of 10 minutes, right? At St. Joe's, George Mason, Loyola, played those were all losses too, right?
Wait, didn't you see this? West Pine Bills put out a stat that the games McCottry has played certain amount of minutes. The Billikens have won we're like 6-3 or something. And I of course put up I made sure everybody saw
that's kind of interesting. When you look at our win-loss lately. Wow. Okay. So he's played double-digit minutes the last 3 games. We've won all 3. He played single-digit minutes at Loyola, at home against George Mason's, at St. Joe's, and we lost all 3 of those. Double-digit minutes at UMass, we won. Single-digit minutes against Dayton, we lost. Double-digit minutes against VCU, we won. So the last time he played double-digit minutes and we lost was at George Washington. Over a month ago. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games now, Zach, where there is a direct correlation. And based on your tone, and I'm just discovering this right now in the moment. But did you not see the cover art 2 episodes ago or an episode ago? I saw it an episode ago, but now to see it all laid out like this, and crucially, it's the last 3 games, 24 minutes, 17 minutes, and he's scoring 13, 6, 10. He's putting up good rebounding numbers. I would say I'm comfortable saying that Shirts has evolved vis-a-vis the way he's handling McCottry.
Unbelievable.
And, that's a pretty strong correlation.
Yes.
We're going back 9 games.
Yes. And we talk about, how much did we talk about Rebecca Tillett in those first 2 seasons about her ability to, she instilled I don't know what she was very good at, like, motivating. She was a great motivator. She was able to pull teams together and get them to believe they could do more than they were already doing. Like, this is Josh Schertz instilling confidence and trust in McCottry in the moment to make the next right play, and he certainly did.
Yeah, absolutely no argument there.
I mean, on a macro level, he's done it too.
The other thing I would say that we're kind of not going over here is his defense has been very good. Like, yes. You can give him a pretty tough assignment, and his combination of size and athleticism, he can guard a lot of different positions. He can guard a power forward. He can guard a shooting guard.
Who did he dominate? Davidson. I mean, he was outstanding on Reed Bailey.
Yeah, and we'll get into that game.
Yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's a 6'11" guy who's leading the conference in scoring.
Reminds me of Fred Thatch.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Remember when he had to come in and defend the 4 a couple times?
Yeah. But also just had that mentality, like, okay, Fred, go get him.
Yeah,
like do your thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right, Zach. I mean, this is eye opening. What's going on with McCottry lately?
Well, they say you're not a freshman after January 1st, right? Isn't that the stupid cliche that we get? They're not a freshman anymore.
I've heard that, but I don't agree with it.
No, it's stupid. Because they're still it still says freshman. Like, come on.
Oh yeah.
One name we haven't mentioned yet is Kalu Anya. He had been playing less than the lion's share of minutes in the last couple games. Comes back. And he's in a very I feel like his last few games where McCottry played the lion's share, it was because Anya was not giving us what was needed. But in this one, they share the minutes a little more evenly. Kalu gets the lion's share. He was very solid, mistake-free game of basketball where he added 3 tough baskets at very important times, and he also made a really important pass on that high low to Avila, sort of late in that second half, or kind of when the game was still not totally wrapped up.
26 minutes, so it's not a pure platoon with McCottry. McCottry played 17, so there's a little overlap there. Not 1 for 1, but pretty close. 3 of 4 from the field. From the field. 5 rebounds, 4 fouls, 4 assists, 0 turnovers. 1 steal, 6 points. Again, just like we said with Johnson, like, this is a game where Robbie, Jimerson, and to a lesser extent Swope are doing everything you need them to do. These guys all know by now, like, those are the guys, those are the scorers. I don't think Anya has any ego with regards to scoring. So I think you just got to go in there, play your role, play good defense, try and keep the ball alive at the offensive end. And he did that. This was one of those, like, kind of underappreciated, very good games.
Yeah, a tiny footnote in this game. The Billikens shoot 86% from the free throw line, Pete. This gives me a good opportunity to remind people you're not a bad free throw shooting team. It's just that the people that get to the line the most on your team are bad free throw shooters.
Yeah, this was a very good free throw shooting game. I talked about McCottry, who hadn't been good typically this season, but he hit 2 of 3, and Brockhoff hit 1 of 2 in garbage time. But other than that, Jimerson, Swope off getting all the free throw attempts and making the most of it. I do, before we get into the finish on this one, want to at least acknowledge Miles Rubin on Loyola. We didn't go over him before when we talked about their big 3, because we do struggle with Rubin. He finished another lob in this game. He
finished a couple of them.
He did, yeah. One in particular stands out, but Loyola scored 66 points in this game, 67 points in this game, and I don't remember many of them. Yeah. It's just that kind of game. But he was 7 of 8 from the field, and only managed 1 block shot on the day. I think that's just the type. That's the profile. Castro on George Washington might even be a better one. That's the profile of player we really struggle against. That wiry, athletic, 6'11", super long, big man. Just not what Robbie or SLU handles well.
Can we discuss the amount of shit talking the Ramblers were doing down double digits?
Yeah, so you would have a better sense of that than I would. I didn't get a great sense of that on TV, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean they were just kind of like flexing when they would throw down a dunk or an alley oop. Like alley oops are kind of sick, but not exactly like they're not as exciting anymore. I feel like just because they're always open, it's not. I don't know. It just feels like it's manufactured. It's not, in transition or whatever. Yeah. But like, obviously you cock one back and hammer dunk it. Like, I get it, but you're down 15. And then like they're celebrating. They're like still getting excited over 3-pointers on the bench at with down like 22 in the second. It was bizarre. Drew Joyce sucks. Or not Drew Joyce, Drew Valentine sucks.
Yeah, he was real. His comment about paying the refs that somebody overheard in the first half. That's unbelievable.
What are you, a fan? Like you're the head coach, really?
Just incredible. That was the amount of whining. Now that's something that did come across in the broadcast. You could see a lot of the body language there.
Whenever he was in frame. The crying Drew Valentine, fathead in the crowd. Whoever you are, shout out that guy.
That was amazing. I didn't see that until the second half, and when somebody did tweet a picture of it, it was like, what did they go print that at halftime? Because the first half, like everybody was on his case. The first half is when he made that comment. I was like, that student section is either like super quick with what they're coming up with. Prescient, like absolutely prescient in terms of what's gonna be happening.
Maybe they were in the arena for the game in Chicago, or maybe they just thought it would be funny. Like, I don't know, but like I'm just imagining we have a sign printing station down in the bowels of Chaffetz. Like I mean, we used to have to. So I made a bunch of them in college, and you had to go to like Xavier Annex like go down and like pay and print them out on the big printer, and then put them on cardboard. So that was interesting. I forgot that I did that. That's funny.
I'm not sure those weren't a thing when I went.
That became when did that really become a thing? I think it really did become a thing when I was in school. I think that sounds about
right. That sounds about right.
Because we had a ton of them.
I was just like, there weren't many students there, but I was impressed by the little bunch that
I was
there.
too.
It sounds like you were too.
Yeah. Somebody needs to get them some chicky tendies, man. Like find out who those dox those people, but in like a good way.
Go reward. I mean, they do everything by scans now, right? So they can figure out who it was.
But it was awesome. They should
just get emails. Yeah.
We're going to talk more about the atmosphere in Chaffetz because I'm interested how it came across on TV. But like, let's get more into this. The scoring here, Pete, is obviously going to get the headlines. It's certainly the reason this one was a 31-point dismantling of the Ramblers. 20 when we have 24 free throws we made, so that's part of it. But I do think this was a great example of a team who, like, it's kind of vindicating the things I've been saying, where this is a team who has beaten themselves with unforced errors and bad shots all season long, finally taking care of the ball.
Yeah. 9 turnovers. We mentioned it earlier. That's huge. 10 still sticks in my head from the Soderbergh days. And that's the era of slow basketball and a 35-second shot clock. So Sub 10 today, I think, is so big for SLU. And we haven't been the best with that. We only forced 9 out of Loyola, so I guess you can just call it a wash. That's fine. That's fine because we have beaten ourselves before with that, right?
Yeah.
This is another game where we don't end up with as many field goal attempts as the other team, but I don't think it matters when you're shooting like SLU did in this game. That was just a few kind of fluky things. They did wind up with a couple extra offensive rebounds, but for the most part, absolutely no complaint there. I think all of those things that we kind of beat ourselves with were not there.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody, of course, made the shots. And yes, for the last 15 minutes, the result wasn't really in doubt. But I don't think there was a moment or a shot taken or a pass where I was uncomfortable with it.
That's really well said. That because I think this game, I don't know if it was the first time, but this was really you going like, oh, this is what a Josh Schertz team is supposed to look like. Like this is what happens when the ball is moving the way it should and shots are falling.
Yeah. There were no offensive possessions where I said that was a dumb shot or we didn't need that shot there. We pushed the ball well in transition, protected it in those moments. And when we did set up the offense, everyone was patient. Everyone made low risk passes and nobody really had any giveaways that made your head scratch. You scratch your head. Again, the only real unforced turnover or bad decision was McCottry trying to find a scorching hot Jimerson in the corner for a transition 3, which you will take that 10 out of 10 times if you can get that ball to Jimerson. But it was, again, you'll take that.
Yeah, and that was an unfortunate turnover. He just put it a little bit behind Jimerson. Jimerson was flying down the floor. He really wanted that ball in stride, and he was just underthrown, to put another football analogy in there. But everything was just working so well here, Zach. I think if I'm to look at one thing that didn't go the way I wanted it to, it would be that Isaac Holmes missed 3-pointer.
God.
That would have given us 101 instead of 98. That just feels like a different game.
But that Brockhoff 3, besides being a massive travel, was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was.
But I know that was a little bit of a travel, but like the agility to step back. What in God's name was that?
I'm telling you, he can shoot the threes that he has missed this season, and the limited minutes he's had have looked really, really good. I'm kind of like this guy, he can shoot.
I think both of our bigs are not like, people are giving up on these two bigs. They can play basketball.
You should not give up on
no.
These guys.
You've got Picard. Picard. Not only does Picard have skills, Picard has the physical gifts, the God-given gifts of being a 7-foot tall person who can move like a guard.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is higher. But Brockhoff, if you give me a big like that who can be a role player and who can step out and shoot, for a few more years, I mean, he really has a nice touch on his shot. So I was not at all surprised when that thing went in. I'm like, every shot he's taken this season has looked good out of his hands. They just haven't fallen.
That might have been the one shot where I was like, wait. Oh no, good shot.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the setup itself, but the shot was good. I just wish Holmes' shot had fallen, Zach.
Oh, God.
Overall, yeah, I mean, I just, like you say, another thing that's not going to get the headlines here, SLU got to the line early and often, 24 of 28, and you can't ask for more from the free throw line there. We've been an average free throw shooting team overall, but I think, like you say, some of that is just who gets to the line and not necessarily what it says overall about our free throw shooting.
Yeah. I don't really want to pour any water on this game that's below room temperature. But like, I have to talk about the crowd in this one on a couple. Like, I'm not mad at the crowd. I'm not mad at the students. I just want to know what in the world SLU Marketing was doing like this whole week. I understand that it's Mardi Gras. And I had this conversation in the replies and DMs, but they didn't really do anything to entice the students either. There was not much. I mean, look, like again, come boot and rally with the Billikens, right? Like it's a midday, like it is nap time, right? Drunk kids love chicken tenders. They love pizza. Like, why not get Raising Cane's or whatever involved? Whoever our pizza sponsor is now. By the way, they need to go back to Papa John's. Papa John's was where it was at. Get an energy drink company involved, right? It's the rallying time. It's the time you maybe you took a nap at like 2 and you stumble over to the game, or get an energy drink in you. Maybe morning beer after you had to like take a nap. I don't know. Like, run a free shuttle or two from Soulard where you have to show your student ID. I don't know. I'm spitballing. I
did think it was interesting. Like, we did get some, because you tweeted out like, about the poor showing from the students here. And I thought it was interesting, the different responses we got. Somebody said, if the students show up, they lose, let it be this team.
Just a reminder that superstition is not the way.
Yeah. Another person said, we did get, it's Mardi Gras, man. I also think if
I went a little passive aggressive replying to that one. Sorry about that.
She said all good points, but I also think if the game was at 1, it might have been better, but it was 3. That's nap time.
Among our many spam DMs, we did get a DM from someone who said, what'd they say? They're all in Soulard at Mardi Gras, laughing at me. And then I basically laid out the diatribe I just told all of you verbally.
Yes, exactly. So we did get a little bit of responses there, and we're fully acknowledging, like, yes, we understand it's Mardi Gras, but like you'd like to, like, I'm trying to think of my days where I was really hitting Mardi Gras hard, and I was generally, well, I mean, gosh, when I was a college student, I had to actually be there for the Mardi Gras game, for one, because I was a manager, so I couldn't be down at Mardi Gras. But when I was going to Mardi Gras and then coming to the game, it feels like by this time in the afternoon, I was kind of done with school, right? Like we would go down there at like 8 in the morning.
Oh, dude, it was awful. Like, we go down before sunrise. Like, it's stupid.
So by lunchtime, you're just done. You're just exhausted. Like, I remember the feeling of like early afternoon being like, oh man, how late is it? And expecting it to be like 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's 12:45. So the idea that like people are, maybe they're starting later than they used to at our day.
I'm a strict 11 a.m. and it has to be 60 degrees out.
Those are not conditions you're going to get.
No, exactly. No, never. That's the point.
No, I definitely remember some Mardi Gras celebrations starting at like getting up at like 7 a.m., getting down there at like by 8. And by lunchtime, you're like, why didn't I actually eat more food? And just being exhausted, and then trying to sit down and watch a SLU game.
Shoot, even if you set up a shuttle for randos, just go pick people up and shuttle them to the game. Like, where are we going? I don't know. We're going somewhere. They promised us food. No, I do again want to point out, and I think I did in like 5 straight tweets. The 4 rows of students that did show up were awesome. Like, honestly, if I had the money to send them like some food or like booze for that, like, I would. If anyone wants to help put something like that together for those kids, like, That's the future of the student section, or at least the present. I don't know.
Mhm.
Let's get in touch with that group. Yeah, the crowd. I want to know what you thought on the broadcast, because in the arena it did not feel like they reacted to scores, but like they didn't really get into defense. They didn't get on the defense event. And I will say again, to circle it back a little bit to those students, they did start some defense chants that made it around the arena. So solid work there, but I just don't think they were worth the 8,000 attendance figure when it came to anything other than kind of reacting to made shots.
Sure.
I don't know what you heard.
On TV, the crowd was fine. It was good, but it didn't feel like, oh, that place is going insane or anything like that. Yeah. Right. Part of that may have been the lack of critical mass within the student section.
Sure.
But I think the other thing was you had plays like the McCottry turnover to Jimerson, right? Like the ones that really would have blown the roof off.
Yeah.
That didn't happen a lot. So you did have the Jimerson and Dawson exchange. The 3 for 2, the 2 for 3, whatever you want to call it.
I need the Snyder cut of that sequence. I need it cut down. I need to rewatch that.
Yeah. So you had that, and definitely the crowd was into it, but yeah, it didn't come across on TV like it was out of control or anything like that. It was solid. So
I think I wanted more defensive energy out of the fans.
I do. Part of me wonders if it's just the lack of tension, right? Like there's no dramatic tension in a game where when you're up 20 by halftime, come out in the second half, and the lead comes down a little bit before then it goes up and gets completely out of control. But there's a total lack of dramatic tension there. Yeah. Whereas, like, what was another game on that day? That Alabama-Tennessee game, for example, that was right after it. That game, obviously, full SEC arena, out of control, 2 top 10 teams, blah, blah, blah. But that was a game that was very, very close. And it had that advantage where the crowd is really hanging on every play. And when you're up 26 or whatever, people are like, okay, how do I get out of the Olive Compton garage? It's just not the
at least it's not the garage at Loyola.
Yes.
But the secret is you park in the Fordham garage. Everybody knows you park at the Fordham garage.
The Fordham garage.
Yeah. I don't know. I got in and out. I got in and out immediately. And I did leave with 30 seconds left on the clock, but I still got in and out.
I've never driven to their campus. I've only ever taken the L there.
No. No, it was just one of those things where I thought, again, it would be nice to have a PA that a public address announcer who kind of could read the game a little better and bring some energy. I mean, even his calls for Billiken baskets just aren't exciting. He's not excited when he announces the starting lineup. It's kind of brutal, and I don't know. And again, I don't want to come down on the fans because when SLU Marketing sets the stage for a half-assed crowd by a half-assed blue out, and it's another example of a team kind of a department scrambling, they forgot there was a blue out and they came up with things at the last minute, right?
Sure.
2,500 rally towels. What does that do in a 10,000 seat arena? What does that do? That is why would you do you know how much rally towels cost? Nothing. I'm being facetious, but they aren't that costly. You can fill the arena with rally towels if you really want. It's not that expensive.
That is an odd one to not give to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole point of that is to create a visual effect that you don't get if 1 in 4 fans has one. It doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. That's funny to me.
The Mardi Gras t-shirts, I loved the design. I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
But 2,000 of them. And again, I don't give a shit if I get one, right? I like free stuff, but like the t-shirt, you know how many free Billiken t-shirts are just packed away in my closet? Like too many. I don't need any more.
They're literally wallpapering your background.
Yes, literally. I had too many Billiken cotton t-shirts, and my mom's friend made a quilt, so she made my background for me. But like that's like if you're gonna call something the Billiken Blue Out, like they've done this for a while. They did. There was a time where the Billiken Blue Out, you gave away 10,000 blue t-shirts. Right. And if you're gonna call it the Billiken Blue Out, giving out less than 1/5 of your arena's capacity in t-shirts is just kind of like it's kind of fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, again, it's the same effect as the rally towels. If it's going to be a single color, if you're trying to create a single color wall, it doesn't work if you don't give it to everyone, like they did with the Blizzard, the whiteout recently. I mean, that worked because there was one on every chair. So yeah, once again, it's just like it's a visual effect that you either have to commit to or not.
And like I said, I don't care if I get one. It'd be nice. I'd like to have it. You know, maybe I give it to, I don't know, my mom, my girlfriend. Maybe I have it. It's another shirt to have. That's great. Fine. But like I got there 30 minutes before game time. There were no shirts at my gate. None. No box. Yeah. Like you have to give them out at every gate. You can't just, I just don't understand. It's so bizarre. Again, you talked about the effect of the rally does. It doesn't. I don't know. Like, why are you pussyfooting around with 2,000 of them and not giving them out at every gate? It's just a waste. It doesn't do anything. What does it get people in the stands early? Maybe they buy a little bit more concessions, but again, you don't own the concession stands. You get
they're rewarding the handful of people who already do show up really early to these games.
Again, what are we doing?
Great. Like they deserve credit. They're buying more concessions. They're showing up early. They're paying for parking. That's great. But yeah, it's for specifically if you're going to do a blue out, if you're going to do a rally towel, you need to actually create the visual impact of filling the place.
It's just so frustrating that we don't seem to be interested in doing anything other than trying to win as a strategy to win new fans over. Like I get that, you know, the big time boosters and all them, they put forth a lot of money and that's great. And that is certainly a great avenue to raise money. But, you know, there's a lot of options for sports right now. It is the golden, as much as we've entered the postmodern streaming age, we are still in the golden age of sports for niche audiences. Anybody can stream sports on YouTube. Anybody can stream sports on ESPN. Anybody can get on Twitch and stream sports. You can find your niche anywhere. Yeah. Anywhere. And your niche can reach a mass audience. You have to, for lack of a better word, groom the next generation of Billiken fans. Like we're not, you and I aren't getting any younger. The people our parents' age aren't getting any younger. I mean, you have to reel in the kids. You have to reel in the alumni that have come and gone, and maybe you missed out on 2013 or 2015 to 2022, 24,
right?
Whatever. It just seems it's a waste. If you're going to do something, if you're going to say it's a Billiken Blue Out, make it a fucking Billiken Blue Out.
Yeah.
Like you can't, like, it's just, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the shot chart in this game? I put it in the notes.
Yeah, I mean, my bottom line to this game, Zach, that we've now spent an hour and 20 minutes on or whatever, but it's really like, is this game an indication that this top unit, the starting 5 plus McCottry, have completely figured it out together, or is this just kind of a hot shooting day? Like it's got to be one or the other, right? Like, are they going to be a force to be reckoned with the next two regular season games and however many conference tournament games, or or what was this? Was this just a good day?
Well, I mean, no, I don't necessarily think that you can. I mean, I talked about it earlier in that the hot shooting is going to get all the headlines, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you look at what this team did today and has done in the last couple of games is they've cut down on dumb turnovers when it mattered, at least when it mattered. In this one, they cut down on the dumb turnovers and the bad shots completely.
Yeah.
This was incredible. Besides the shooting, this is a game that you win with the way you turn the way you protected the ball. Even if you have an average shooting night, you win against any team in this conference going away. It may not be a 31-point win, but it's double digits. You're covering the spread by far.
You know, it's funny. You post the shot chart here, and we're 10 for 14 inside, right? And everything looks like it was kind of within 10 feet. I know
Robbie's runner was so sexy.
There was Robbie's runner. There was a turnaround fadeaway. Swope to kind of lose his defender. I think that was the one that was the farthest out. But again, 10 of 14 inside. They're all good shots. Nothing in the mid range. 18 of 34 from outside. It's funny because they made more than half of their 3-point attempts, but the way this shot chart looks, the way like the misses and makes are kind of stacked up, it looks like they missed more than half of them, but I think just some of their makes were kind of in the same spot, so they're a little clustered together.
Also, their misses were in the same spot, so kind of gives a little optical illusion in the pants.
Right. Slightly misleading. Like if I looked at this, I would go, they shot about 40%, but they shot over 50%.
And don't forget about Anya's alley-oop dunk miss.
That's right. Yes, that's right. But if you look down at the other end at Loyola, not nearly as many attempts from three. They did shoot a decent percentage, but you look inside and everything from the mid-range was a miss.
Yes.
So they have a lot of makes and misses around the basket, a lot more attempts inside, but everything from the mid-range, that SLU really defends that well, forces them to take not good shots there, and that shows.
And SLU even defends in the paint really well. I think they defend driving into the lane better than they defend post play in the paint. Like Robbie can defend a guy coming at him really well, going vertical, but when a guy backs him down and does a move one way or the other, I think that's where Robbie struggles. But again, this game was, I mean, I can't think of a better time in recent memory I've had at a Billiken basketball game. Maybe the Dayton win a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like, just some people will say, like, that they like close games. They're more excited.
No,
whatever. Like, we're sports fans. We have main character syndrome, and all we want to see is our teams absolutely crush everyone. I like that so much better. I would rather win a game like this, running away, than I would at the buzzer.
Would you say, Dave? Would you say that you would rather win a game like this than you would say a 57-56 win on the road at Davidson?
I'm glad you bit on the bait there, Zach, because I was trying to transition us into
like a largemouth bass.
We've got to spend a lot less time on this game just because, but it's just not worth spending as much time on because this game, Zach, was ugly. Like the first half was.
It was ugly, Betty.
Ly ugly. It was really ugly. We talked last week about how Swope didn't really show up against Rhode Island, but his shooting, Zach, kept the first half from being a single-digit performance from SLU. He
was great in this one. He stepped up. Again, it's also great to see the juxtaposition of Swope being able to step up when he's called upon to be the Swope show. By the way, Guy Phillips, please stop calling him the Isaiah Swope show every time he makes a bucket. That's so dumb. I mean, I love the Swope show, but that's not where you put it. That it doesn't fit
he's
there.
Missing the point.
It doesn't fit there. Again, it's having people step up when the others are down. That is what a winning team's all about.
That's right. Robbie Avila missed a 3 to start the second half. Davidson converted at the other end, and he kind of got the feeling things weren't going to get better. I was a little worried anyway. I guess I shouldn't say I was worried because, truth be told, I watched this game on my phone immediately after it actually happened in a hotel room near the Pittsburgh airport.
This sounds like the saddest night of all time.
I was so tired.
I'm depressed for you. Thank you for making everybody listening to this podcast sad.
I had to get up at like 5 a.m, get to Pittsburgh. I had 2 client meetings throughout a bank meeting and then a dinner. And then, so by the time that I actually got back to my room, the game had just ended. So I was getting texts and I knew how it ended. So then I had to go back and watch the thing so I could actually come on the show and speak.
Did they tell you how the game was going? Like how it went and then what happened?
So I was getting text messages that were like, just, like I could tell it was not going well. Like the things I think you and a couple other people like texted certain things and I wasn't watching, so I didn't have the context. So what?
I wonder.
So what I went in and checked the score, and I think when I checked the score, like we were down early. It was like 15-7. And then I checked again and we were down by like 13 or something like that. It was a really stupid, like every time I checked, it was just like, oh, we're losing an absolute stinker, like on the road, right? Like, so it was 15-7 at one point. And I want to say I checked again when it was like a little before halftime and it was like 25-15, right? And then checked a couple times in the second half and they weren't much better. It must have been, I'm kind of going through. It must have been like 47-38. I checked, like, which was just right around 8 minutes. And so I think that was the last time I checked, and just the way that it had gone the whole game, I just assumed we had lost. And then the game ends, and all of a sudden I've got like 5 texts, and I'm like, okay, it must have ended funny. And then I could tell that we won. So then I got up to the room and
then your client decided they were not going with you due to your lack of attentiveness at the meeting.
No, they're already with us. Luckily, it's not. That was not an issue. But it was a stupid way to experience this game. But I was
to experience a stupid game.
Well, that's the thing, Zach, is because
it's so dumb.
We're losing the entire game. And I see that we win 57-56. And then I'm like, I gotta watch this thing, don't I? I don't want to watch it. So obviously I fast forward through the commercials. And if I just happen to eat into a little bit of the actual gameplay, I didn't go back and watch, the one possession or so that I missed. So I did watch the kind of fast forwarded version of this game. I got to admit.
You could have just waited for the cinematic recap.
I don't think this one didn't deserve a cinematic recap.
So funny story. I realized this is the first time I realized that SLU has been putting out the St. Louis Blues, the NHL style highlight videos, highlight packages. So they've been doing full game highlights where it's all the SLU baskets, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I wish there was more. Like, I hope more people know about that because it is a great way to check out what you missed. Obviously, it doesn't give you that both teams right. Scoring, so you don't get a full idea of how the game went. But yeah, I think it's awesome. It's great.
In a game where you score 57, it goes a lot faster.
Yes, it do. Robbie Avila missed a 3, like you said, and it was fitting that the only 3 Robbie hits in this game was not captured by the broadcast.
Yep.
Because why, Pete?
Because they were showing a highlight, Zach, of the last Davidson play before it.
What sport? Does any sport still we had this issue when they first started. Like, SLU hasn't had this issue. Like, I don't think in men's games they've ever had the issue. They've had it in women's games, but not for a decade.
How many times did this happen during the game too? Where you
4 or 5?
And this was the slowest, lowest scoring possible game, right?
Yeah.
Like if this were a game that were like 82 to 78 or something like that, it would have been a real problem.
Yes.
But in this game with so many misses and going deep into the shot clock and just an ugly grinder of a game, you were still missing offense because they were going back late or early, arguably, I guess, and showing these replays. It was so stupid. It was such a
bizarre.
Poor broadcast.
By the way, not the only. By the way, we had Mason fans complain. We'll talk about. Never mind. Forget that. We'll talk about it when we go around the league. Because I got things to say. Robbie Avila was awesome backing players down in the low post in this game. But outside of that, he was not so good.
Yeah, but it's hard to say anyone was great in this game.
Yeah, nobody was good in this game.
Nobody was good in this game. So, like, I don't want to give him, like, too rough a time.
No. I mean, again, this is one of those where, I think he recognized he wasn't shooting well, so he's going to go to, go to the well. He knows he can beat.
And we already mentioned him. So, Swope. Right, he was good in this game. Swope was good in this game. I got to be fair there. But Avila was 1 of 5 from outside. From inside, he was 8 of 12. So I think you just got to do the thing that's working for you, right?
Yeah. You said you got the feeling that things weren't going to get better, but they did. And it started with the Billiken defense. Again, we talk about how good this Billiken defense is and how they have not gotten the accolades. And it was really good for most of the game. Yeah,
I think if you just showed me the Davidson numbers at any given point, I would have been like, yeah, okay, we're doing what we need to do here, right? I mean,
we're blowing this team out.
Yeah, so Davidson, like tell me, like, okay, we hold Davidson to 56 points at home in a gym where we historically have not played well. We've only won once. And granted, we haven't played there a ton, but still, since they've joined the league, we've only won there one time before this game. And we hold them to 38% from the field, 29% from 3, 67% from the line at home, 56 points. I would have thought, like, oh, wow, we really beat them. Like, we comfortably beat them in this game. And if you showed me their points at any time during the game, I would have thought, okay, we've got them right where we need to be. So it's just a matter of us really not scoring, right? I mean, like, the defense was absolutely there. You're right.
Yeah. Anya was subbed out for McCottry, but for the most part, I thought both of them did a really good job on Reed Bailey, and I thought Anya did really well when he was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of those games where SLU had 2 major cracks at the pinata. The first one didn't take. The second one was magnificent.
Yeah, so SLU made it a 1 possession ball game by that first media timeout in the second half. They tied it right after that, and then Davidson somehow worked the lead back up to 13 with 6.5 minutes to go. They led by 11 with under 5 minutes to play. I don't know. I don't know how we do it, Zach. Like this game, the Richmond game, the UMass game, we're playing bad teams on the road, and late in the game, you think, well, that's pretty much it. But you got to leave it on because
those are the Ford scars.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no other explanation other than, like, we have been battered and bruised.
Yeah, and we're doing well to just win these games.
Yes.
But, like, why does it need to be at the last second? Why does it need to come down to the end? Richmond, UMass, Davidson, these are not good teams.
Yeah, because it's fun. they're swope doping.
Yeah, part of it, like I look back to that Fordham game, right? That first road game that we just dominated.
Yeah,
and part of it is the fact that Fordham is a bottom 2 team in this league. But part of it is just like I thought, okay, like, yeah, this is different. This team is different. This coach is different. We're gonna get some road games. We're gonna beat bad teams on the road. We're just not doing it very convincingly.
Yeah. Davidson gets the lead to 13 with 6:31 to go. And again, really deflating. They did it so quickly that it felt like the Billikens were on life support. Like I said, we're watching this game in the shadow of Ford's last two teams here, and those teams would have been dead like dinner.
Yeah, especially when Kuchera hits that three with 1:44 left, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the one that feels like a dagger, and somehow was not.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was one of those where I don't remember at what point, but I said the game was there. And, it really was the Billiken defense that you knew that the Billiken defense could hold them. It just felt like Davidson wasn't going to do anything spectacular to steal this, or not steal this game, but take the game, take it by the balls and run with it. And it felt like Davidson could not do that. And as long as the Billikens took care of the ball, took good shots, really manufactured baskets, they could absolutely be in this game. Right after Kuchera hits that three. By the way, all I can think about is Lightning McQueen every time I hear Kuchera. His catchphrase was Kuchow.
Oh, okay.
That's it's stupid. But everything I say on this podcast is kind of dumb. But Robbie answers it immediately.
Yeah, he did. And then Davidson kind of did their part, right? By missing shots down the stretch, both from three and at the rim. I thought SLU did a really good job contesting without fouling.
I was holding my breath, my breath every time we'd contest a three. I was waiting for us to foul and Davidson to get an and one.
That would have felt predictable and immensely frustrating, but it didn't happen.
No,
like they're big three, if you want to call them that. Bailey, Kuchera, and Durkin. I thought like one of them is going to do that, right? Like one of them is going to hit a three that he shouldn't. McCottry, call it. Somebody's going to take an extra step on the contest and knock him over on the follow through, something stupid like that.
Yep.
We just, it didn't happen, and thank God.
Let's see. The Billikens had the final possession, inbounded the ball to Gib Jim, very close to a backcourt violation here, Pete.
Yeah, it didn't look great in real time. Like you kind of thought like, ooh, does he have both feet? Like it was in an awkward spot. He was right in the corner of the half court line, the sideline, and you wonder, like, did he establish possession over the line? I've seen mixed things on Twitter about the interpretation of this call. Yeah,
but ultimately he fed the ball to Avila. Robbie backed his way down for a layup while falling down. Also, and one question mark. After watching the cinematic recap, which by the way is you should go watch if you haven't for both of these games. But Luchtefeld chimed in on our Twitter. He replied to our post and said it looked like Jimerson never had possession in the front court, and I think that's pretty much spot on. I think Jimerson delays corralling of the ball just enough, where he had his arches of both feet straddling the midline, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like he was standing on the midline, like he was surfing.
Right. And like, look, we had a crucial call in a recent game where a guy steps on the line and not over the line. And there was that interpretation, but this really kind of feels like an NFL, what is a catch?
I don't know. I don't know what a backcourt violation, like, I know what it's like pornography. I know it when I see it. I've said this before. Basketball rules, like if that looks weird, it's probably against the rules.
And this, to be fair, did look weird, but my interpretation of this is you do need to establish both feet across half court, and he did not.
Yeah.
So I think
he established one full foot, by adding his heels.
And to his credit, he played through it he did what he meant to do. Like Jimerson didn't like kind of stutter step or hesitate or anything like that. He just played it like a veteran and just went like, I'm doing what I wanted to do. So his body language was exactly
sells
how
the call.
It had to be.
Yep. I thought it's certainly one I could see either way, and them calling and then going to a review, which thank Christ that didn't happen. That could have just been just a wild change to the scenario that they go to a review. I don't know what could have happened there. I'm surprised they didn't call it. Just take a look. Either way, I think kudos to the officials in this one. I thought they were really good. This play specifically, and then the goaltend on Swope's layup. That one was, I don't think it was on its way down. I think it was over the cylinder. I think that's where I think we've gotten to a point with that rule where it's always, the review is almost always whether or not it's coming down and not necessarily was the ball over the cylinder. Like we don't often see the ball going up still, but over the cylinder, I guess. I guess that would be the finger roll that gets kind of swatted away. That would be the, right. Which you don't see a finger roll that often anymore. Again, I thought they were great. They made, calls, and I thought their eyes were spot on, is what I'm going to say. And, they might've missed that and one on Robbie's go ahead bucket. Like I kind of alluded to. Talk about this final possession here for Davidson.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say regarding the officials, fouls were 10-8 in the game. It was just like we knew these were not teams that play super aggressively defensively. I said
it was like a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, it was like, this was the kind of game where I think I said in the scouting report, like a little bully ball would help because Davidson's so soft, but it's just not how either team plays. So to see 10-8 in fouls is not entirely surprising. But on this final possession, Davidson had 4.6 seconds to score and they couldn't. SLU had fouls to give. They did use one. Bobby Durkin had a really good look at a three to win it, and he missed. It hit the front of the rim. I was nervous, Zach, when he got such a good look. I didn't expect him to get such a good look on that.
Yeah, I was ready to be hurt at this point. I was like Jax Teller in the series finale of Sons of Anarchy, just waiting to get hit by the Mack truck. I was ready to have my heart ripped out. But I think Durkin was the right call as far as who you were going to. If one person was going to get free, I think Bobby Durkin, given his recent performances, is a good option.
Yeah, he shoots the highest volume from three. He doesn't shoot the highest percentage. But when you do highlight his recent performances, Zach, he shoots a lot of threes.
Yes,
and has made a lot of them. So I don't think I would question that decision. I think there are three different guys, him, Kochera, Bailey, that you want to give the look to. I think beyond that, it gets a little dicier. But Durkin's probably number one just in terms of who's comfortable shooting it the most.
Yeah. But I mean, again, his recent games, 0 of 9 against Loyola and 2 of 10 against Fordham. He usually takes 8 per game. He was off in this one too. It was his third straight, and I think it was the correct choice. If you're going to pick your poison, I think Durkin is the exact right option.
Yeah, you mean from SLU's perspective?
Yeah.
Because Bailey and Kochera are much higher percentage shooters. They're just not volume shooters. But yeah, I would. You're right. I think in terms of very recent performance, the last couple of weeks, that was probably the best case for SLU.
Yeah, you have a stat here that that was surprising.
I did not expect SLU to shoot a higher percentage than Davidson, both from three and overall. I mean, that's to go into Belk Arena and outshoot them on every level. Really surprised me. I guess not from the free throw line because we only shot 2 of 5 and they shot 4 of 6. So I think we can throw that out. But from 2 and 3, SLU outshot them in Belk, and we were -3 in field goal attempts, a little bit closer than we've been most of the season. Still, I thought that would have made me a little nervous, Zach. I wouldn't have thought that we would have outshot them.
The defense, again, I've been trying to get people on this bandwagon at how good this Billiken defense has been since probably January.
Yeah, and in my first two bullets here, I've already gone over. It was just the fact that we outshot them, and then at any given point in the game, with their points, their shooting percentage, whatever, I would have said is where we need to be. But I thought you highlighted a couple guys, Zach, who had good individual performances here.
Yeah, I think again you have to go right to Amari McCottry for defending a guy he gives up 5 inches to in the low post. Again, yep. Shades of Fred Thatch. Kobe Johnson had a block on Kuchera. Again, I spelt his name wrong because, it sounds like Lightning McQueen's catchphrase, which led to a 30-foot 3-point heave. And then I think it was either a shot clock violation or we got the rebound very easily. Speaking of rebounds, the Billikens out-rebounded Davidson by 6. I don't think there's much surprise there.
No, good rebounding night. They're not a strong rebounding team. I said that they don't send many guys to the offensive glass, so that's part of it. Neither team shot great from the field. So you just had to kind of clean up those defensive rebounds. In terms of turnovers, it was 11-7 with SLU having the larger number. We knew Davidson didn't turn it over. They turn it over 9.5 times a game. That was their average coming into this game. So that number isn't surprising. We already said total fouls were 10-8. Davidson had more despite fouling just twice in the first half. It just, these aren't aggressive teams. We knew that was going to be. But let's go through the individual performance here, Zach. Swope by far our best player, 23 points, 8 of 13, 6 of 10 from 3, which was huge. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. I liked everything he did in this game.
Yeah, he was awesome. He led the team when they seem to have no real direction. And I think that's exactly his kind of place on this team. Especially when Avila is maybe not putting things together early. He's kind of he's the the Bunsen burner when this team doesn't really have it going. He warms up. And the rest of the team kind of follows. If he can get it going. Avila, 19 points, 17 in the second half, 9 of 17 overall, 1 of 5 from 3, unless you could not hear the broadcast. Then he was 0 of 5 from 3.
Yes.
7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and 1 steal. Jimerson had 8 points. He was 3 of 13, 2 of 10. 4 rebounds. I'm sure he's going to get. It didn't bode well for his game against Loyola.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he got his revenge. Kobe Johnson had his quietest night in a while. No points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Kalu Anya had 18 minutes, 1.3 rebounds, and very quiet performance there. But we brought up McCottry, 24 minutes, 6 points, 7 rebounds, some big defense on Reed Bailey, who ended up with 14, which is about 6 below his average. This does kind of feel like a real shift in the lineup is happening, where we're seeing a plateau of minutes with him and Anya.
Yeah.
In this game, I said in the next one it wasn't a true plateau, but it is kind of becoming that.
Yeah. Again, you talk about players on the other team who got hot in this one. Connor Kuchera, 4 of 6 from 3, 22 points. Again, you said it, better him than Bailey or Durkin, especially given that Durkin took the 3 to win the game, to try to win the game. Yet another ugly road win that looked like a loss without much time left. By the way, speaking of without much time left, what an odd scenario where the Billikens could have just continuously fouled and basically salted the game away without even allowing Davidson to shoot the ball.
I kind of thought they would on that.
I think they tried.
Yeah, they tried, and they just happened.
He just got lost.
He got open. Yeah. Durkin got open, and so we got lucky there.
Yeah,
because I think they would have rather fouled him as soon as he touched the ball. Before he could get a look at the 3, but he was open.
UMass Richmond. Now this one, again, I think these are games that SLU would have lost last year. Credit to them for not giving up and finding a way to grind out a win. It's certainly I mean, obviously it's a positive anytime you can win a game in which you don't play your best, but like the way this team is, it's this team is winning these games like a hockey team who's coming back from down 3 by pulling their goalie.
Yeah.
Like, and they just score 3 goals within like the last 3 minutes. It's weird. It's wild. And you know what? I will take it, Pete.
A win is a win.
Why don't you run us down the Arch Baron Cup Part 2 matchup Tuesday the 4th, this time at UD Arena, the place where the refs own the show. They are the show.
Dayton won the last meeting 71-63 at SLU on January 31st after taking a 12-point lead into halftime. SLU just didn't have enough to crawl back into that one. Could this be the year, Zach, that the Arch Baron Cup switches hands with 2 road wins, with each team winning on the road? Let's hope. Dayton is coming off a pretty unconvincing double overtime win over Richmond at home. SLU just destroyed Loyola, so based on the most recent performances, you got to like where we are.
Yeah.
These teams are tied at 10-6 in the A10 heading into the last week. There's a high probability that the winner of this game gets a top 4 seed. I'm not going to get too deep.
Do we want a top 4 seed though? Because it's 1 or 6.
Oh.
By the way, I don't know if anybody else realized this, but after my tweet about the 1 and the 6 seed, it seems like all the national news are picking this up. I just want to, including the broadcast this weekend, I just want to.
You're the one who did it.
I know.
So I don't want to get
people know.
Deep into their X's and O's. We know who they are by this point. But 2 guys to highlight, Cheeks and Santos, have been their best players lately. I would think that we're going to have Kobe Johnson on Cheeks and Anya on Santos, but I think, McCottry is going to play solid minutes again in that matchup.
Especially the way Santos steps out.
Yeah. Yep. So I would expect to see a lot more McCottry than we did the last time against Dayton, which he played single-digit minutes in, and we lost. Dayton fans, meanwhile, they seem pretty split. You've got the kind of old guard who seem content with Anthony Grant and how things are going and blah, blah, blah. And then
I'm also content with Anthony Grant.
Yes, me too. And then Sully and some of the younger fans seem frustrated at what
Sully's not young.
You know what I mean.
Sorry,
you and I are still young SLU fans.
I had to mess with them.
Arena.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, they don't think the results are good enough. Either way, I was able to snag a $7 ticket for Tuesday night. So there are clearly a lot of good seats at good prices out there.
Wow.
It seems like.
Are you telling me that they've been talking about how expensive Dayton basketball tickets are and how much they fill that arena, and you got a ticket for less than a Cardinals ticket in the middle of June?
$7, Zach. That's even less than it was last season. I got to say, I mean, like every time I never buy early for this game. Like if I were to buy when they go on sale, I would pay full face value. And by the time of the week leading up to the game is every year when I buy, and they've gone, there's tickets being dumped. I'll put it that way.
The term face value just makes me think of a paper ticket and makes me feel sad inside. I start thinking about the good old days. I wish we knew when we were in the good old days.
Andy Bernard quote.
Yeah.
Speaking of tickets for this game, I thought because visitor parking is across the river from the arena, so you have to take a shuttle or take a really long walk in the cold across the bridge to get to, and then go a whole block down to the arena across all the parking lots. So I was like, maybe I'll buy it's not a sellout. I'll buy a parking pass for this game. So I go on there, and there are parking passes that you can buy for $5+ So I was like, well, I'll get one of the $5 ones. It's close enough. And with fees, it would have been $13.95. And I just Ticketmaster, Live Nation is a company that, if they go bankrupt and just die, I hate them and their ticket fees more than I can even express.
Yeah.
That also applies to StubHub and their MLS ticket fees, which hit me a lot. Like the SLU game that we went to at City Park last year, and I walked up to the window and tried to buy a ticket at the window, and it still hits you with the exorbitant fee.
I think I had to buy it online. Or something like that. I don't remember.
Ticket fees get me so angry. But anyway, $13.95 for a $5 parking pass. So I said no, thank you.
It's out of principle.
Principle.
Let it not be said that Peter Hale is not a man of principle.
My frozen body will be in the Great Miami River after the game, but it will be because I did not pay. I can go to my grave chin up that I didn't pay those ticket fees, Zach.
Are you going to take the Miami River Trail the entire way?
I could if I want to. Well, it doesn't go all the way to my house, but it does go to the Cincinnati area.
Yep.
But yeah.
Good trail if you're ever out in the greater Cincinnati area.
The Little Miami Trail is the one that you can take from Cincinnati to Cleveland. The Great Miami Trail goes from anyway, yeah, that's a different river. So not as scenic.
Let's talk about Saturday the 8th against Duquesne. It's senior night. They haven't announced it yet because SLU, but I assume that it has to be Jimerson, Johnson, and Swope.
They put out a graphic and it just had Jimerson on it, but I got to think that, Johnson and Swope are out of eligibility as well. Regardless, SLU ends the season against a team they haven't played yet. Duquesne is 8-8 in conference. There's 13-16 overall in Drew Joyce's first year at the helm. They're coming off a pretty eye-opening 85-68 win over George Mason. They've won 4 of 6 after a midseason slump that had them losing 5 straight. They'll play VCU before coming to SLU, so they'll certainly be coming off a loss. 6'2" senior guard Trey Dinkins is the top scorer, just over 13 points a game. He shoots just under 40% from 3 on 6.3 attempts per game. He also leads them in assists and free throw percentage, and he just hit 6 of 9 3-point attempts in that win over Mason. So he's the guy you got to plan around. After him, they've got 9 guys averaging between 4 and 9 points a game. Cameron Crawford is the one I would single out because he shoots 44% from 3 on 3.7 attempts. He's just kind of in that don't let some random dude get hot from outside category that seems to bite us lately. They don't have a ton of size, Zach. They've got a few guys that are 6'8", 6'9", about 210, 215, but they don't put up a whole lot of production. Those are interchangeable role guys kind of down the bench a little bit. Most of what they do comes from their guards and their wings. The depth is kind of the point too. You have to wonder if part of the strategy against SLU is going to be leveraging that against a team that doesn't use the bench and plays a bunch of guys 35 minutes a game. Duquesne doesn't really play fast, but I think they honestly should in this game and just keep subbing. Their identity's defense. They hold teams to 52 field goal attempts per game. That's one of the best in the country, and just 66.6 points per game. They block a decent amount of shots too. They would rather put you on the free throw line than let you have clean looks. They just don't want to let teams get open, get good looks. They're not great on the defensive glass, but they're pretty effective in terms of offensive rebounding, which is a concern. So keep them off the offensive glass, shut down Dinkins, come in well rested, sub strategically to kind of minimize fatigue, and just take care of business at home on senior day here. I think you got to win this game. Well, you do have to win this game.
You have to win this game. I think we go 2-0, Pete. Let's go around the A10 and then head over to women's basketball and the non-revs, because we're gonna have to breeze through those. No offense to them, but this was just a great week of men's basketball, and we had to spend time on it. Around the A10, Tuesday the 25th, VCU beats Richmond by 18, 78-60. Wednesday, Duquesne beats LaSalle 67-62. George Frodson 74, Fordham 64, Dayton 85, Rhode Island 77. Dayton showing cracks lately in the foundation. St. Joe's beats Bonaventure 75-64. Loyola just dominates George Washington 77-57. Harsh thing to do to one of our founding fathers. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about Friday 10 and then Saturday slate.
On Friday, VCU destroyed Davidson 80-56. VCU is just the class of the league by far. Saturday the 1st, we had St. Joe's 90, Fordham 76, Duquesne 85, George Mason 68, as we said earlier, which I know you enjoyed.
I gotta watch this game again, not to like clown on George Mason, but George Mason fans were one was apoplectic about the announcing in this game. And I'm like, with the way he's talking about it, I'm ready to turn it on and be like two pimple-faced college kids just like yakking it up. And it's like two old guys that know what they're doing. And I'm like, what's the problem here? Like, do people not understand? Seriously, do people not understand that these are employees of the university or or Learfield by way of the university? I don't understand what you want. Like, I think SLU is probably the most like. I think our TV for men's basketball, it's pretty homery, but like they genuinely try not to be homerish for like soccer and baseball. Like, I think that's a directive. Yeah. But like, I mean, I don't know what you expect. This is like it's like watching a home broadcast. Like they're not paid to talk about your school, man.
I saw you having that battle, and that was not one I was willing to step into.
Oh, you wussy.
Dayton 74, Richmond 64 in double overtime. This was agonizing, ugly, bad basketball. Dayton did not deserve to win. Richmond apparently didn't want to win.
And the kicker is that it interrupted 12 minutes of our game. You missed 12 minutes on the broadcast,
first half.
Which it could have been worse. Fair play. It could have been worse because what was it? The 2 overtime game between Mason and Washington.
Yeah, that's true.
Was the entire half
before our Richmond game? Yeah,
the entire half.
I was fuming at that game. Yeah, it's whenever we play on CBS Sports.
Yes, every time.
The bottom line is just learn 2 hours is not enough, but it's every time we play on CBS Sports. We play after an overtime game. UMass 91, Rhode Island 88. A lot of good defense there. George Washington 71, LaSalle 60. And Zach, the standings are pretty interesting right now.
Yeah, they are. And I don't understand some things. So you're going to have to try to explain it to my dumb brain.
I will.
Okay, cool. VCU is at the top at 14-2. Fraud Mason 13-3. Dayton 10-6. Tied with Loyola and St. Joe's and St. Louis. So that's confusing. That's not that I don't understand. Duquesne 8-8, George Washington 8-9, St. Bonaventure and UMass are at 7-9, Rhode Island and Davidson 6-10, in a battle for the last spot in the pillow fight, and then Richmond, LaSalle, and Fordham bringing up the rear 5-12, 4-12, and 3-13 respectively. Pete, learn me some tiebreakers here. I'm going to sit back and let you cook.
Okay, so if there's a 3-way tie or more, and right now we have a 4-way tie, but if we end up with 3 or more teams tied, number 1 tiebreaker is combined head-to-head record. The combined records of the tied teams against each other are evaluated. The team with the best winning percentage in these games gets the higher seed. Number 2, record against common opponents. If the teams remain tied, their conference records are compared against the highest common opponent, proceeding down to the lowest common opponent until a team gains an advantage. So right now, Dayton would be number 3 because they're 3-1 against Loyola, St. Joe's, and SLU. Loyola is 3-3 against Dayton, St. Joe's, and SLU. SLU is 2-3 against Dayton, Loyola, and St. Joe's, and we're 1-1 against the number 1 team, VCU. St. Joe's is 2-3 against Dayton, Loyola, and SLU. So it's the common opponents that come into play there. Number 3 is drawing lots. If a tie persists after all of the above criteria, lots are drawn to determine the seeding. So we'll get into remaining opponents. SLU has to play at Dayton and against Duquesne. Dayton has SLU at home and then has to go to VCU. So I would argue they have the hardest week. But the 2 easier weeks, unfortunately, Loyola has Davidson at home and then they finish at UMass. St. Joe's has Rhode Island at home, and they finish at LaSalle. So it's impossible.
The good news, though, is I don't trust Loyola or St. Joe's to go 2-0.
We'll see what happens. You got to play the game. St. Joe's has been, I think, kind of good lately, but
Billy Lang.
Yeah, I know anything can happen with them, but it's an easy finish. So they can't all finish 2-0. We know that because SLU and Dayton have to play each other. So they would have to all finish 1-1 in order for there to be, that weird tie. But based on those end opponents, Zach, I like Dayton having to finish at VCU. I think that's going to be a loss. Loyola St. Joe's, I don't know. You hope for a loss in there. But look, if SLU goes 2-0, then I think we've basically clinched the win, right? Because even if St. Joe's and Loyola go 2-0, SLU would end up with a better record in the head-to-head than St. Joe's.
Sure.
Because we would be 3-3 and they would be 2-3. And then we also have a better record against the number one team in the league. So we would leapfrog Dayton, and then Loyola and SLU, would get the 3 and 4 seeds. Is how that would work. But look, just got to win those games.
It's all very scientific.
It is.
Dr. Bernadette McGlade.
Yes. Well, I hope you understand now where we stand.
No. A10 Survivor Picks. You are still alive going into what amounts to the final week of the regular season. And I have no idea. I'm confused. Just talk about it.
So last week I had Loyola over George Washington, and I got that one on the 26th. This week my pick was early in the cycle.
Okay,
Because now it goes all the way until the 8th, which is the last day of regular season games. So I picked George Washington over LaSalle at home on the 1st, which was this weekend, and I got the win there. So I'm good. I'm set. I am into the final round, basically, which is the A10 tournament, and picks reset. So how many are there going to be left? I don't know. There were 86 still remaining coming into this week, which is way more than I think.
Yeah, I would have expected it to be down to holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So out of the 86, 32 of us won already this weekend. So I think there will be some more attrition, but I don't know how many are actually going to be whittled out. And then it's basically just to pick them for the A10 tournament. So every day I'm going to have to put in a new pick in the A10 tournament and get it right. And we'll see how many are left standing after that. But this is definitely the deepest I've ever made it. It's just a shame that so many other people managed to do the same.
We had some visitors, and they showed up to play probably the best game they could have.
Couldn't have asked for better. Scotty Atkinson is a guard from Webster Groves, a sophomore, one of the best in the country, really electric scorer, does everything. I don't know if he's going to last 2 more years at Webster Groves before one of the prep school vultures takes him away. But he was there alongside 6'6" guard Lincoln Williams from Kankakee up in Illinois. He's been to the University of Illinois for a number of games there. So we are in some good competition for both of their services. But you're right, Zach. Could not have had a better game for them to see.
Yeah, I hope they sent them. Well, I hope they sent them home with some 2 men in a garden. Because really that is where it's at when it comes to salsa and pickles.
It really is, Zach, and I am very much craving some 2 men in a garden pickles in particular, and so I put in an order for some of those along with some salsa, and can't wait for it to arrive later this week. You should too. 2meninagarden.com. We're keeping the ad read short this week. Go over there, $9.99 shipping. Take advantage of it now, or get out to a local grocer if you're in St. Louis. 2meninagarden.com.
Okay, we're going to have to kind of breeze through this women's basketball. I mean, and baseball, softball. So apologies in advance. Pete, run us down the Rhode Island game real quick.
Yeah, just a few highlights. With the 67-63 win over Rhody on Wednesday, the 26th. Shaky first quarter, but SLU locked them down defensively in the second and third before, of course, letting them back in the fourth. This is where being a great free throw shooting team comes in handy. They've really got it done. 4 for 4 in the third, 14 from 18 in the fourth. The craziest stat, honestly, we went 4 of 5 from 3. That's so few attempts, and somehow more makes than they typically have. We were hopeful that Peyton Kennedy was back after a good performance. The last game, the good news is that she started and played great defense on Honey Carr, but the bad news is she only ended up with 7-5 with 5 turnovers. A painful heel injury is what's been bothering her since December, so we'll monitor that. But Zach, the next game was a 63-62 loss against Loyola, and this was a really painful one. I don't know if you got to see any of this one,
no,
the men's game going
I'll
on.
I'll let you drive the car.
So what happened here is SLU had a 16-point lead at halftime and then got outscored 20-6 in the third quarter to make it a nip and tuck fourth quarter. They were down 1 with 33 seconds left. Loyola had the ball. SLU got the stop and then had a possession to win it with 12 seconds. Brooklyn Gray missed a really good look. SLU got the offensive rebound. Shun Anumeli got it back into the lane, dropped it down to Gray, and she was absolutely hacked on the shot attempt. No whistle, game over. I would have loved for her to get free throws at the end of this game. You know, on one hand, they blew a huge halftime lead. They led a team all the way back into it. Yeah. You could argue they didn't deserve to win. But on the other,
the game is the game.
The game's the game. You should have had those free throws. So that's a shame. They had 3 players with 13 points. And they were good from 3, 7 of 17, which is what you would take from them against any opponent, 15 of 16 from the line, but they were only 13 of 43 inside the arc. They just had to be better finishing. Everything in this game was really close statistically. Really had to win this game, unfortunately.
Next up, they'll head to the A-10 tournament, March 5th through the 9th at Henrico Sports and Entertainment Center in Henrico, Virginia. SLU got the 10 seed will face 15 seed St. Bonaventure on Wednesday the 5th, 1:30 St. Louis time. St. Louis was one of the Bonnies, 2 regular season wins, 68-66 loss on January 8th. This has to be a win. Bonaventure's awful. The winner plays number 7 seed UMass on Thursday at 4 p.m. St. Louis time. The winner of that would get 2 seed George Mason. Let's run down baseball. A 9-2 win at SIUE. I'll hit the midweek games and I'll give you the midweek games because I ended up watching a lot of both games at Loyola.
Yeah, the 9-2 win at SIUE was great on Tuesday.
I did watch this too. That was great.
Yeah. Hayden Moore, Riley Ifrig, Brendan Stressler all had multi-hit, multi-RBI games. Carl Ralam had 4 1/3 innings pitch. He started. He gave up 2 runs. Chase Minor got the win, though. Pitched the rest of the game and held him scoreless, striking out 3 in the process. 11-4 was the loss at Southern Indiana the next day, Wednesday the 26th. Hank Gomrick and Ian Halverson hit solo shots in the second, but SLU was already playing from behind, and USI ran away with it with 6 runs in the 5th and 6th innings. SLU used 8 different pitchers. Steven Hernandez took the loss.
Classic midweek.
Yeah, but Zach, they did well out at Loyola Marymount.
Yeah, they took 2 or 3 from what are the Loyola Marymount? I don't remember. Lions, thank you.
Yes.
That's one of my things that I always hang my hat on. I usually know those. SLU scored 3 in the top of the second and had LMU chasing him the rest of the way. 7 RBIs from 7 different players. One of those was a home run from Brendan Stressler. Ben Cherico started, got the win. Charlie Weber got the save, combined for 17 strikeouts, 9 and 8 respectively. A great team win. Both of these Friday and Saturday games felt like major league games, just in the flow. 10-8 win on Saturday the 1st. Speaking again of great team wins, SLU delivered another in game 2. The Billikens never trailed, but it was close. LMU always kept within arm's reach. SLU led 7-6 heading into the 9th, added 3 in the top of the inning, and Loyola got 2 back in the bottom, but came up short. Sitzman had the game's only home run solo shot in the 1st. He led SLU with 3 runs in this one. Owen Kelly got the win, 5 strikeouts. Finished off the weekend with a 15-4 loss at Loyola Marymount. Sunday the 2nd, SLU went up 1-0 before allowing 10 unanswered runs over the next 4 innings. Ian Blazier hit a 3-run homer in the 5th to get a few back. Too little, too late, though. The Lions added 5 more after that. SLU used 6 pitchers, and Christian Pownell, who pitched the 6th, was the only one who didn't allow an earned run. Next up, they will head to Missouri State on Tuesday. Wednesday, they'll play Southern Indiana at home. And then their 3-game weekend series at home against South Dakota State. Pete, run us down oh my God. Run us down a few. Run it down a few of these games, and then I'll take the rest.
Softball played 7 games this week. The first was a 7-3 win and a doubleheader against Green Bay at Lindenwood on Monday. One of those games we talked about last time, Zach. You just got to get it in if you can. Scout Gallagher had her first collegiate win on the mound. Isabel Royal got the 3-inning save. Gallagher pulled a Shohei Ohtani and added 2 RBIs. Double threat. In the second game, they lost 4-3 to Green Bay. SLU took a 3-0 lead until the final inning, only to give up a grand slam to lose it. Taylor Hockman pitched the complete game and took the loss. Chloe Ryan led SLU with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Then they went down to Kennesaw State, just north of Atlanta in Georgia. And it started a little rocky, but they righted the ship after that. I'll take the losses here, Zach. SLU lost 4-3 in an 8-inning game against St. John's on Friday. It was 2-2 after 7. St. John's put up 2 in the top of the 8th. SLU could only answer with 1 more. Isabel Royal pitched those last 3 innings for the loss. She was fine until the 8th inning, honestly. Abby Mallow hit a solo shot. East Tennessee State on Friday in the second game beat SLU 5-3. It was pretty quiet after a 4-3 first inning. ETSU got another in the top of the second, and that was the end of the scoring. Nothing after that. SLU's runs all came on a 3-run homer from Gallagher. Anna Kreis got the loss, her first of the season.
Christ. It's been confirmed that it's Christ.
It's Christ.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Ruth's Christ Steakhouse.
There you go. Yeah. Why don't you run through these wins, though, Zach?
Got you. 13-1 win in 5 innings against Ryder on Saturday. The Billikens scored in all 5 innings. Mallow homered again. SLU's only of the game, and it was a 2-run blast. 3 hits and 4 RBIs for her. Jane Kineski. Jesus. Zach, figure it out. Kineski had 3 hits and 5 RBIs, and Abby Ulsis had 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Anything you put on the teleprompter, I will read. We just need to start writing her name phonetically.
Yeah.
Royal got the first win of the season. 7-6 win in 8 against Kennesaw State, Saturday the 1st. Mallow led SLU with 3 hits and 3 RBIs. Tied at 5. Both teams scored in the 7th. Kennesaw State won. What? Okay. 7-6 loss in 8. Kennesaw State won on an RBI single in the 8th.
Oh, shoot.
Taylor Hockman gave up 5. Whatever you put on the teleprompter, I will read.
Sorry,
Hockman gave up 5 runs in 4 innings. Isabel Royal got the loss in relief, however. 5-4 win in 8 against Ryder on Sunday the 2nd. I sure hope this is right. Kendall Johnson walked it off with an RBI single in the bottom of the 8th. Mallow homered yet again, a 2-run shot in the first. She's up to 6 home runs on the season with 18 RBIs and a batting average of .419. I mean, we have Max McGuire over on the baseball side. I'm not sure he's raking like his dad, but Mallow might be.
Yeah.
Carson Janney went 3 for 3 with an RBI. Hockman started and went 6 innings. Royal got her second win of the season with 3 innings of scoreless relief. Oh my God, we still have tennis and track and field.
It's short.
Yeah, go ahead with tennis. Next up, the Billikens will play Friday the 7th at Illinois, then the Boilermaker Classic at Purdue, which also features Bradley.
Yeah, in tennis, the men were off this week, and they won't play until Wednesday the 5th at home against Austin Peay. But the women played SIUE at Mac West on Friday the 28th. They won 4-2. They took the doubles point and then won in the number 1, 2, and 3 spots to clinch the overall victory, with another match going unfinished. Emerson White, Fiorella Duran, and Madison Hill claimed singles wins. And their next game will be against Chicago State on Thursday. Indoor track and field, Zach, had the A10 championships in Virginia Beach this weekend, February 28th to March 1st. And Journey Edmondson is really making her mark in the record book for SLU. She won gold in the triple jump with a distance of 12.66 meters. She also set a school record in the long jump with the silver medal winning jump of 6.05 meters. But that wasn't it, Zach. There were a few more records to fall.
Yeah, Lukasz Ivanowski won the silver in the 1,000 meters crossing in. 2:26.23, the Billikens' fastest time ever in the event. Tristan Boatman won bronze in the weight throw with a distance of 17.96 meters. The men won bronze in the 4x400 with Carson Amstutz, Chase Pittry, Jace Peterson, and Sam Lamaze running that. Lamaze ran a school record of 48.10 in the 400 prelims, but finished fourth in the finals. The men finished seventh overall with 55.5 points, and the women finished ninth overall with 31 points. Next up will be the NCAA Indoor Championships, March 14th through 15th, if the Billikens have any qualifiers. Just looking to see if there was a result at women's soccer today.
There was. They won.
Yeah, of course they did.
They won. It was 2-0 or 2-1. Yeah, they won. The shutout was split between Karani and Parker. Simon and Kim scored goals. Larson had an assist. That was against Illinois at Herman Stadium today.
Rock on.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it. Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.